little over 20 years ago, I listened to a talk from a guy named Bill Scott from PayPal, and he described a functional team that now I've come to understand as DevOps, right? But creating agility, creating speed, creating the ability to make change more quickly to impact the business. And then I started to do research on this topic. And in that research, I found this guy named David Giambruno, and I'm reading about how when he was at Revlon,
I made lipstick.
He made lipstick, but he also made processes work for his team so that his team could impact the business more quickly. He's an entrepreneur, he's a CIO, he's involved in everything technology, but he's also really involved in removing barriers for his employees and removing barriers for his customers to change so that they can improve their operation. And so without further ado, here is David Giambruno. Big hand.
Thank you. Yeah, you just made me remember how old we are. Let's see. No, we're good. I was just making sure I had this. So basically, my daughter calls me a super nerd because she can't explain to anybody what I do, right? We all have that problem here. Like your son or daughter goes, "What do you do?" And they start talking and everybody's eyes roll back in their head. So my daughter called me this to explain, so I use it now. So I've always had the fun of living way out on the edge, kind of tip of the spear. I'm happy to get bloodied a little, teach teams how to do things, think out of the box. And I think DevOps is at a massive intersection between Wall-E and Skynet. Because if anybody hasn't noticed, like marketing departments are now writing code. Agents are start writing code, and that movie is incoming. So it's really, is DevOps going to stand in the way? And it has to, right? To help Wall-E, and Wall-E, you kind of hear the term of AI abundance, right? It's either abundance or the end of the human race. The end of the human race is going to be with code. And so, the thesis that I've been working on and putting into practice is really being that new firewall for operating inside of enterprises. So it's really up to you. This is my narcissism slide. It's really just because I've had great teams who I could get to do crazy things at super high speed. I tend to be the face because I can yap all day long and suck the air out of a room. But all kinds of great accolades. And it's really from the ability to take risk and know how to take risk. And I think DevOps is going to be at that inflection point based on what's coming. So the things I really help do is really overcome hard problems, right? Turn around, face forward, make systems work for people rather than people work for systems. And I think that is the number one thing inside of utilizing AI and DevOps is going to be the case. And it's speed to value, right? The number one thing a CEO could always say to me is, "I don't have to think about you," was the best compliment ever. In the vision section, and particularly for this, everybody here, it is automation wins every single time, right? And again, speed to value. So I kind of manage by isms, right? I do these one-liners. My teams have collected literally hundreds of them. Rule 1, follow the money. Rule 2, see Rule 1. If you don't screw up the money, you probably won't get fired, and your CFO's happy, and everybody's good. If we can't automate it, we don't need it. That is my fundamental thesis for all of my teams. Any moron can manage good news, right? Get it out in front. Again, for what we do in DevOps, it's really around making sure, like, if it's wrong, we need to know, need to fix it, know what done means, not for you, but for them, okay? And that is one of the things that we always have a challenge with in technology, because if the customer uses our systems, right? Our clients use the systems, our business users, the app users, right? It's what's done to them, not to us. Know the difference between I think and I know, and this is how I get my teams to go fast. It's basically, if you know, do it. I don't care. If you whiff, we'll figure it out. But if you know, you don't know, you're in I think, get everybody together, we'll make a decision out of team so I can stand in front. Automation wins against every time. You'll see that through here, right? And particularly where we're headed with AI, nothing runs a computer better than another computer. Better said, an AI will run AI better than a human. We need to wield it. Don't be outdumbed, especially me. And I say this to all my teams. Outdumbing is when you ask me such stupid questions, I want to quit. right? So anybody here know what RTFM means? Right? Yeah, it's my one-liner. Never underestimate how low average is. And if you can't fire yourself, I will have to fire you. And what I mean by that, although coming off as harsh, I also have the other one, which is I'm an evil overlord with a hug, in a way, is, look, if you're not moving forward, it's entropy, right? Like, if you've automated everything, we can go do the next cool thing. If we're living on the treadmill, it's the same boring crap every single day. I don't like living there, right? I'm a, late 50s with ADD, right? I live in the perfect world in technology. If I didn't live here, I don't know what I'd do. I have a genetic fault. I have infinite capacity for conflict. I don't care. If I know I'm right, God help you, right? I'm happy to be wrong. Prove me wrong, right? But I think best practice is the disease of mediocrity, right? Industry standard is just safety. It's everybody else is failing the same way, right? Yeah, who's laughing out there because you know that shit's true, right? The symptoms, right? Risk aversion is disguised as safety. Entropy is confused with stability, and teams creating problems to avoid solving them, right? You'll see I do massive transformations. I've been blessed to do super cool stuff, right? And it is literally getting through the people figuring out how not to do the work. The cure is, lack of a better term, be unsafe. And I caveat that at the bottom. Like if you're in a highly regulated, compliance world, don't go to jail, right? Stay out of jail. Don't get fired for that. Don't have the auditors, right? There's times to take risk, and there's times like not to, and how you do it, right? This is my slide for boards. Like they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, I do shit faster, better, cheaper. Okay, super simple. My other favorite slide that I do for boards is when I do a lot of M&As, right, is the two things you can't cut in half are people and hardware, right? So it's always kind of fun. Come on. So my biggest SIG in learning and doing this for like 30 plus years, right, is how did God create the world in 6 days? I know it's 7, but he only did work, he rested on the 7th, okay? Just so like everybody bust my chops on that. No legacy infrastructure. Always build new, replace, don't rebuild, right? The only caveat is make sure the data's there, because you can't do much without the data there. And it is rare that a team who created it can reinvent it. And that's one of the hard things. If you're working with people that can step out of themselves and build a new system, those are super interesting people. Those are the ones I want. Like, I love them around me because they can think out of the box. And they know the business rules of the old system and provide the bridge to the new, but it's hard to get people out of that mode. It's humans are meaning-making machines, right? And so they make meaning out of what do they do, and you have to make them feel safe to do the next thing. So I've done really cool stuff, right? Just as a note, if you're ever going to do massive transformations and be on that team and lead one or do one, get your exit package first, because everybody's going to hate you after, just as, right? Moved revenue, and this is where I got on my automation kick, right? And I see DevOps as just DevSecOps, because I think it's all the same. If you don't automate at scale, you can't do these massive transformations. And these aren't years. These are measured in like 15 months, 18 months, 24 months, okay? Because speed wins every single time, and the only way you can do speed is consistency. One of the last ones I just did was moved a couple data centers to cloud native, 71% reduction, 2,400 applications, 15 months. Again, faster, cheaper, better. You see the lines, right? This is what you do. This is the impact of what everybody can do in this room to business. And it's coming in AI. Again, it's, how decisions matter, right? Sometimes obvious isn't the fastest or the most effective. So again, like, I keep doing this, like, it's kind of like what Elon Musk did at X. DevOps can have the most powerful impact on the operating of a company, given the speed and control of what you have over the environment. So money. By the way, some people in here will not like this, right? So these are things I've learned. Multi-cloud is the most financially irresponsible thing you can do. Every cloud you add is 3x the cost, right? There's a couple in here. It's like, boom, how to make my life hard, right? In the outdumbing phase, and everybody's like, well, we need multiple vendors. Like, because if AWS is down, it's going to matter for the rest of the world, right? And it's 5x the security risk. This is a solid, I did this a little while ago, 2,200 cloud native apps at $631 a month, right? 28 cents per app per day. It's basically free. Running Kubernetes or EC2 is like lighting money on fire, right? It's crazy. Like the ROI to switch over is just sitting there if you're willing to do it, you know? Multi-cloud is like paying for a Ferrari and getting a tricycle, all right? And again, I go back to the money. I've done this, reinvested the money back into developers, and again, going faster for the business. Everybody will hate you for a little while till you start delivering because success is the best deodorant. So this is one of the coolest things I've done. So in my career, so I did all the, you'll see in the next slide, but there was Moore's Law. Everybody kind of knows what it is. There's now Ray's Law. And Ray's Law basically says that AI is getting twice as smart every 7 months rather than Moore's Law that compute is doubling every 2 years. This is the single biggest thing that is coming your way, our way, right? I'm already starting to deal with it, and that's part of the talk here. I'll talk through what's coming. And that's Ray. He's one of my BFFs. We were talking about this, and I did all the math, right? Did all the calculations. He's on CNBC and shit, so it's his law, right? He has the marketing arm. But the fundamental question is, how do you manage this? Because, like, in 2 years, it's 15x, not 2x. So we're seeing it every day in AI. Just, you know, you're online. It's like, you know, what you couldn't do 2 months ago is now easy today, right? Like, again, I've got, like, product people writing code. Like, that wasn't on the bingo card a year ago, right? If you don't hear the train coming, does it still hurt? And if you look at the amount of tokens being used, it's gone from 50 billion a month to 2 trillion. The train has left the station, incoming, there's no hiding, right? You're not going to get out of this. There's $1 billion a day being invested. You better learn how to suck it up, because it's coming hard. So, and what I mean by this, so this is, I took this as a screenshot. This is one of my AI projects, right? AI is now changing how you write AI, how you deploy it. Super matters on cost. But that is 4 months. The total cost, this is 300 concurrent users, is $22. But the code impact is enormous. So if everybody thinks it's millions of dollars, it's not, right? That barrier of entry is dropping like a rock. So one of the things that everybody talks about AGI, does anybody here know what coherence is in GPUs? So coherence is when whatever you have, how many GPUs they have, they all know what each one is doing, okay? 18 months ago, that was 30,000. What Musk has done, and this is just pure engineering, is he's now, in 24, he brought it to 100,000. In February 25, it was 150. In December, he'll hit 1 million GPUs in coherence. So yesterday, he literally said, like, Grok 5 will be AGI, because he'll have 3 million GPUs in coherence next year. Like, the physics are overwhelming. It's basically you've now put an electronic brain into a data center. So one of my things I say, Isaac Asimov did iRobot, right? 3 laws of robotics. Whatever you're going to do for governance, whatever the business thinks they're going to do, ain't going to work, okay? I'll say that out loud every single day. The reason is it's getting so smart, you're not going to be able to governance around it. The only thing that's going to matter is DevOps being a firewall of what you let in, okay? And so I made these up, right? 5 laws of AI, right? But again, it comes back to DevSecOps, DevOps, I just consider it one, is the new firewall. Unless you stop it from coming in and screwing your world up, and there's going to be a watershed a moment where someone's going to have AI running. It's going to change a calculation for, like, commitments. It's going to change a financial reporting system. And then they're going to ask, who changed it? How did they change it? When did they change it? And you're going to be like, oh, the black box did it, You won't survive. Oops. So again, I go back to AI is in your enterprise. Someone's doing it right now, right? AI is writing code, and AI will become the business probably in the next 5 to 7 years, right? And DevSecOps is good AI versus bad AI at the end of the day. The world's changing, so phase one is kind of where we are, the schmabies, right? AI coding agents and assisted coding is coming online. We're seeing that en masse. Code will increase 15x in volume, and it's going to come from everywhere. Intelligent automation, essentially, I think in 26, 27, you're seeing there's a couple companies, I think one bank has started doing it. AI will read all your old code and all your old applications and then start rewriting it. It'll map the business processes. It'll map the dead ends. So we all know, like, you map out a business process. It's like code, human, right? It's going to figure all that out and start writing code for you. And then phase 3 is really cognition, right? And that is AI will become the business process. And my bet it will go back to monolithic apps where AI is just doing all the business processing for us. The scale of automation, this is me, this is what I do. This is the fun, this is the things that I love to get up every morning for, right? This year, in the past year, 655 million applications. I average 55 million automated actions to run the enterprise every month. I have 3 humans that do this. They are wielding technology. It is not wielding us. But this is the foundation. This is the scale of automation that you have to get to use AI, right? Everything has to be structured. So this equals 20 transactions a second. This is 300 DevSecOps if you want to do this by hand. You're never going to get the budget. The other sad kind of thing around it is you have to remember the computers and AI is going to do this in its sleep, right? And I mean the incoming. It's going to generate so much code, how are you going to keep up? Unless you're automated and prepared, it's going to be super hard. So foundational tools, Pulumi's here, like they're my crack, right? My team lives off this. It is the foundation. Everything to us is code. There is nothing else. Infrastructure, everything's bundled in. We have no human in AWS, 0. We have break glass accounts, but no human touches production. 0, none, don't need it. If human touches it, you're introducing risk, right? The other thing is get rid of all the IT silos. And what I mean by that, you cannot act as a horizontal plane if everybody's doing this different shit, right? There is no more votes, right? This is my evil overlord as a hug piece, which is I rip all the silos out of my teams. I'm like, here's the basic standards, here's the structure, use the tool. Because almost everything in an organization, and most of you know this, is a pattern. Recognize the pattern, automate the pattern. The thing that I worry about most is type A versus type B automation failures. So just so be clear, I've done this, right? So I was the head of engineering at Pitney Bowes, 2 million postal meters, 50 billion a month from US Postal Service. I wiped out 45,000 servers and had to do the walk of shame to the US Postal Master why it cost him a couple $2 billion. Went to my CEO and I was like, you can fire me. And he's like, I'm not firing you, you got to go to DC. You're not getting a bonus this year, right? But speed and scale are probably the biggest risk coming. So, playing catch up. If you're not here, you need to be scrambling, right? So code, AI assist, human verify, scan for known vulnerabilities, react to incidents after they happen, 90% human, 10% AI, right? We're kind of starting to use AI as a large spell checker. What's coming, and this is really the takeover, AI writes, humans occasionally review, AI hunting threats before they exist, self-healing infrastructure, and then 50% human, 50% AI. Your job is going to be teaching the AI, and that's where the scale of automation comes in. Full cognitive, this is what nobody wants to discuss, is AI architects the entire system from business requirements. AI evolving defenses faster than the attacks. So this is where you're going to have good AI versus bad AI. Infrastructure that redesigns itself on the fly, and 10% human, 90% AI. You're either the trainer or the trained, right? Kind of Darwinian. AI and DevSecOps now, and the picture kind of says that you're going to have to build that firewall against bugs, exploits, but AI code, and lots of agents. Like, you have to start figuring out how to defend against that, right? And it's really the operations intelligence where you're going to have to build first. But again, I'll go back to, if you're not fully automated and 99% of what you do is automatic, you're never going to get ahead of this curve. In 27, I think it's intelligent automation. It's really advanced code intelligence, the automation security, and then self-healing infrastructure. And you've got to start getting ready for this. What does this look like? What are the tools you're going to use? The biggest thing is a horizontal platform inside of your world. And if you don't do it, and that's ripping down the walls, no one's going to be happy, teams are going to be angry, right? You know, dial 1-800-WAH, right? In 2030, it's probably going to be, we'll be well inside AGI, but you'll have reason-driven development, okay? AI develops its own self, writes its own code. You're still going to have to firewall it. You're still going to have to understand it, and you're still going to have to manage it. Automated, autonomous security ecosystem. This is basically bad AI versus good AI, and it's just going to keep ratcheting up, right? It's mutually assured destruction. We're going right back to 1950s. And then cognitive operations, like self-optimizing infrastructure. And this is kind of what we do now, and this is why we make so many changes, is we've written that code to understand it inside of Pulumi, right? We make so many changes to optimize, and our AWS bill is about half of what AWS would think it is, okay? And the reason is because we're crazy optimization. There's no cosmic joy in paying AWS, right? It's a thing. But when you manage it well, the costs come out. And then, predicted automated disaster recovery with AI, right? You're going to have to be able to recover basically instantly somewhere else. Anybody here ever play Battleship when they were a kid? Right? It's basically Battleship. But you're going to have to move your battleship. That's the big thing. Forced to think your change, right? And I say this, right? Everything we do is basically a template. Just do the work. Everybody starts arguing with me. I'm like, shh, quiet. Like, just do it, right? Get it over with. Pattern everything, right? We've automatically segmented basically everything, right? It's because of our teams, it's humans. You need to get rid of it. It'll be short-term pain for long-term gain. Orchestrate both infrastructure and applications. Code needs to be put at arm's length, right? Compartmentalization is your friend, and that goes back to the blast radius, right? The hand grenade goes off for global thermonuclear destruction. How far do you want to let it spread? You can survive a hand grenade, not so much a bomb. Good operations is good security. There's, in my world, like me and the CISO are super close, right? Like, his job is to bust my chops, right? And be, the guy on the edge that keeps poking me on the shoulder. Whoa, you're going a little far. Like, come back, put it back in the box. Okay. But having that relationship to experiment and show and share what's going on, humans have eyes, right? We're going to do things at scale that people can't understand. You're going to have to show them. And so partnering with people is like a little bit of being outdumbed. You got to swallow the pill, right? But get through it with them, because you got to take everybody on the journey because of the speed at which this is going to happen. And then lastly is you got to be able to nuke it from orbit, and that's the battleship, right? You need to move your battleship, right? Shut it down and move it, right? Because if you're getting attacked and AIs are attacking you and it's coming, right? You're basically going to shut your enterprise down and move it and reconstitute it somewhere else. Just have the data there, right? But this new metaphor is coming. And then how, right? And I go back to, if we can't automate it, we don't need it. You need to live that. The best thing when I was the CIO of Revlon, I knew I'd done a good job, right? Because we hadn't had any downtime in 5 years. But I came into my office one morning, and there was this is in the South, right? So everybody's super nice in North Carolina. And they said high-speed toiletries over my office and a massive sign, right? It's basically, we get shit done, right? And then never upgrade what's deployed, redeployed entirely. Access control is the first control. Don't ever forget that. No human configures anything. No human has access to infrastructure. Code configures everything. Developers never touch anything but their repo, GitOps, right? That'll be fun to put in your organizations. Like, the amount of whining is amazing. But no is the most powerful word in the world. Developers do not need access to data centers or cloud. Change control is done at the code repository level. Like, this is coming, right? It's literally at the code level is going to be change control. And monitoring and incident response is done in code. Compliance and governance in code, and drift is always visible. Again, this is one of the features I love in Pulumi. I look at drift every day. Did anybody change anything? Anything happen that we don't understand, right? And if it doesn't, I hit a button, I smoosh it back. Doesn't happen that much anymore because we removed all the people. And then I worked on the 10 Commandments of DevOps, right? New Testament. I tried Old Testament. It got really dark, okay? For everybody who hasn't, who's secular, I did the secular version too, just to make sure everybody, to be inclusive. But basically, you start with security, right? Clean your data, check your models. And this is new types of thinking, like, you're going to have to check the models that are being used in DevOps now, right? It's a completely new concept, but you're going to have to understand that AI is being used, what it's doing, how it's doing, and what it's touched, and what's incoming, right? Set up clear limits, follow the rules. I mean, the art is don't kill creativity, because people are going to need it, because there is a competitive advantage. If you do nothing, it's a Darwin Award, right? If you don't allow AI, companies are going to get wiped out. Obviously, vet your tools. Don't steal. Make sure the AI isn't taking stuff and get you in a lawsuit. Keep it honest. And then stay alert, right? And again, the scale at which things are going to happen, unless you automate this, you're going to get left behind. And so the choice is really build your WAL-E, right? Does anybody here not seen WAL-E, right? It's the fat guys in the chair, right, floating around, like the abundance version, or we get nuked in our, right? So automate everything that can be automated, build a firewall, right, before AI surrounds you. Become the overseer, not the overseen. Option B, keep doing what you're doing, stay comfortable in your best practices, let AI evolve, because it will, and become a case study in obsolescence, right? The clock's ticking, it's 2 to 4 years for AGIR. And God created the world in 6 days because he had no legacy infrastructure. And the thing I believe in doing these things is the most important thing humans can do is share ideas, right? So everybody's got to kind of work together, because there's no map for this, right? It is literally a little management by Braille. Figure it out, try, right? Skunk works, and most of this isn't money. Like, I don't need to go buy tools. Most of it's people doing it, right? Which is, we already pay their salaries. You can kind of be like, you know what, we're not doing these, let's try this stuff. So, thank you. Any questions? And again, don't be shy, because I'm happy to go back and forth with anything.
Now, if you have questions, I'll bring you the microphone, you can ask. Anything at all? Oh, right there.
You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
You paint an interesting picture and a realistic one. I think it becomes a dire picture for a lot of people in this room that want to keep their jobs. What do you have to say about that? I mean, I understand horses, buggies and versus cars. I mean, I'm not, nobody here is a Luddite, but you really, put it on the line saying most of you are going to be out of work, or at least not doing this
Actually,
job.
I don't believe that.
Okay.
I believe you're out of work if you don't do it. Right? I think it's the complete inverse. I think if you don't do this, you're going to get replaced with someone or something that does. And that's why I say, take the time. Most of this isn't like, I need $1 million to buy a tool, right? It is, let's figure out how to do this, right? And most of it's people's time, right? And then once you have, there is no business person who doesn't know AI is inbound, okay? And again, I joke, we get out-dumbed all the time in a way, right? Because, some CEO reads something, it goes to the CIO, and then it comes down to us, right? And it's like, oh my God, here we go. But everybody knows, and if you go with an answer of things you want to try, I will bet 4 out of 5, okay. but you have to come with the solution. If you're going to get told what to do, you're in the bad case. If you're going, hey, let's figure this out, get your teams together, how do we do this, right? What are the steps we want to take? And go ask. Then you're in control. It's kind of like Sun Tzu, Art of War, right? If you're making them react, you win. If they're making you react, you lose, right? So for everyone, I think actually DevOps is one of the last places that gets hit because everybody's going to need it. Because the fundamental answer is when these AIs are firing code in, who's stopping them? Normal firewall won't. You guys are the firewall. But you're going to have to think and operate differently. And everybody knows it's coming. And if you ask and you work with your teams and ask, for, like, get a plan, work the plan, get a good idea, working theory, right? Hey, we want to try this. I'm betting 4 out of 5. You'll get the money. You'll get the go-ahead, right? Because you're acting. If you don't act, sorry. Anyone else?
Anyone else? Don't be shy. Ask some questions. That was a good question.
And if anybody wants this, I'm happy to send it out. All right?
Oh, thumbs up. I thought you were raising your hand. Oh, you have a question. Here you go.
A lot of the anticipation for, hey, where's the puck going to be, sort of, and the acceleration of things are changing every 7 months, so on and so forth. So
they're getting smarter every 7 months, right?
And changing, right? It's kind of what you can do not today, you weren't
Correct.
able to do very recently. And so as you move in that direction, like if you feel like you lock in on what to anticipate, and then you get 2 months into that, all of a sudden that horizon changes, right? Because now it's another, you're into that new 7 months. So how do you deal with that always chasing the horizon of this for projects that you've worked on?
So first principle in physics, okay, is the way I always think about these things. The way that I've talked to people and gotten my teams to act, think of it like an investment, all right? So if you start investing today and and this is what I've done with my teams, we are going DevSecOps AI first, okay? That's the first principle. After the first principle, let's build something, because the second you start investing, you're worried about what the world's going to do to you, and I get that. But on the other side of the equation, it's like compound interest, okay? So if you start investing, you start adopting, as the changes take hold, the external world is doubling every 7 months, so is your investment. So your team's learning and figuring out how to be fluid, right? And you're going to navigate a course, and this is why I think like the experimentation, start trying things, because you're going to learn, you're going to see the patterns, and if you go for first principles in physics, there's only how do I not let the AI code in, okay? That's not going to change anytime soon. It's just going to be more of it. So like start solving the fundamental physics problems. Where's the code coming from? What's it touching, right? I will guarantee, because this has been my life as a CIO and CTO and as also a CISO, like no one knows where a lot of the calculations are done in applications. Like you're going to have to map all that. Like that's grind work, but you know what? You can use AI to do that. Right? Like Pulumi just released their AI. We're lighting it up. Like I can now talk to my Pulumi. Right? Like utilizing the tools out there, and there are tons of them. And again, I'll go back to, it's not super expensive. If you think it's going to cost you $500,000, call me. I'll show you how to run an AI for like not much money. You may not like some of my answers, right? Because it's going to go outside of people's comfort zone or wherever they live. But you can do this relatively inexpensively to experiment. And I think you have to, like these teams, you have to get into the experimenting mode, right? Like we're super highly structured in some ways, right? But you're going to have to figure out new ways to operate. It'll be uncomfortable at first. But then once humans are I always go back to humans are meeting, making machines. Whatever you today is the most important thing in the world, I get it. Yeah, get over it. Time to move on, right? We're literally battling entropy, right? A closed system dies. So let's figure out how to move it. Did that answer your question?
All right, I feel like there's one more out there. Who's not raising their hand? Back there? I saw that. Oh, yeah. Try to act like you didn't raise your hand right there. All right, anybody else? Any other questions? Aha, see, I knew it.
Oh, sorry, stand up. My name's Dave Wink.
So is mine. Hi, Dave.
Hey, Dave, nice to meet you. So, what would you recommend as a starting tool stack?
Starting tools?
Yeah, what tool stack? What AI? I mean, we're saying.
You want my blunt opinion? Like,
Yeah.
All right, so I don't think, if you're going to do experiments, do not do bespoke AI, okay? And what I mean by that is trying to build your own infrastructure is a Darwin Award, right? Unless you have a 100-person team, it changes so fast you can't keep up with it. You also don't need the massive bleeding edge shit. Like, you don't need, voice AI for DevOps today, okay? So what you saw was an AWS build. So use a platform, whether it's Google, AWS, Azure. I think AWS is miles ahead with Q and Bedrock. And so what I've done is I've wired in every data source in the enterprise, okay? Now, how you keep it low is you're going to need a couple devs to help you, right? Because what you want to do and how to keep it low is you do all your calculations like in Lambdas. So if you're asking it to do something or collect data, right, use Dynamo. It'll dump the data down into Dynamo. This is super crazy cheap. And so as you pull data in, right, you're running it through, here's all my inventory. You shove all the data into Dynamo. When you're asking it to do something or figure something out, all the calculations are done in code, so you're not chewing up tokens, okay? It took us 3 days to wire up it's all APIs now. So you're not having to figure out how to do crazy shit with AI. In Bedrock, they've got a list of 100 integrations. And so we're just pulling it all in. And now we can go ask questions. We can see what's going on, right? And you start showing people what's possible is how you start changing things. And so you have a bunch of tools, wire them up to AI. You'd be stunned at what you see and what you can figure out. And then as it gets smarter, and in AWS you can pull in different models, you can experiment with different models, right? So which one best? I will tell you a couple things. It's called an LLM, large language model. It is not a large math model, okay? If you're doing math, do it in code, right? If you try and feed it a spreadsheet, it will lose its shit. The context window isn't an issue anymore. The context window is time. So at about 15 minutes, they all blow their brains out, right? Or you get into really expensive shit. So if you think about it's basically batch processing, right? So as you're sucking data in and doing analysis, keep it in short chunks, right? But you're talking, okay, it's an extra 200 milliseconds, who cares, right? But how you structure the data is super important. And if anybody wants the map, I'll send it to you, right? Because it's kind of simple. And it's so simple that people can't wrap their skulls around it. So get one of your devs who knows cloud, AWS. They'll go to the APIs. A couple hours, you've got data rolling in. And now it's pretty phenomenal, right? Because people are learning. And it's not scary. You can touch it, you can feel it. And it's time to value, right? So then when someone goes, AI is going to be so expensive, and this is what I do this shit all the time, right? It was $12. Really? We can't afford 12, and it's the reasonable man rule. Everybody shuts up and it's okay, do it. Right? And if anybody needs help with compliance or guidance, I've got shit written for that. I'm not saying, I'm not asking for, I just want to help because this group to me is the firewall between enterprises going down in flames or keeping the world running. And if you want to end our way of life, it's through code. All right?
All right, we got one more question here.
Hi, David, I'm Ron. Thanks for the fire hose. There's a lot in there to think about.
Sorry.
No, it's great. So thinking about the sec part of DevSecOps, the security, What are the security implications of taking all of our context and feeding it into these LLMs? I mean, in order to do anything, you're having to, the concept of a firewall is I got to protect my data. And the idea of having to ship context off in large chunks, is that just like a stupid thing to worry about, like AWS going down?
No, it is the right thing to worry about, but this is why I use AWS. So in AWS, you pull the model into your world. So like my SOP is we create an AI account. Everything sits within that AI account, and anything I'm connected to, I know what it is, who has access, blah, 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 right?
So you're running your own models then?
No, in AWS and Bedrock, you can choose from a set of models, and they pull the model into your world, so nothing's leaving.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of what I was asking.
Yeah.
So you're hosting your own processing of it.
Yeah, but it's
yeah.
like, yes. Well,
Okay.
I'm particular about the language because like we're using Claude 4, right, for a bunch of stuff, right, for techie stuff. And then we use a couple other models for business and legal stuff, right? We use the different models, but they're all in our domain, right, with only our data, only our RAG, right, and nothing is leaving ever, okay? So that's one of the reasons I like AWS, because it's like a big bubble. It's also HIPAA compliant on day one, so if it can control HIPAA, I don't have to worry about lots of other stuff. Sure.
All right, who else? We have a little more time. Someone's got a question. Where are you?
All right, thank you, everyone.
All right.
Take care.
Thank you, David.